I found a Yelp review my boyfriend wrote for a restaurant saying, "Perfect place for a first date with someone special. We've never been there." The review was posted last week. I made a reservation under a fake name for tonight, and I'm sitting 3 tables away watching him with her. I'm currently sitting in a restaurant called Marcello's, 3 tables away from my boyfriend of 2 years, watching him have dinner with another woman. I'm typing this on my phone while pretending to read the menu, because I genuinely don't know what else to do with my hands, and I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. Let me back up. My name is Olivia, I'm 31, and I've been dating my boyfriend Adrian for almost 2 years. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue, hit it off immediately, and started dating pretty much right away. He's a graphic designer, I work in marketing, we have a lot in common, and up until about 4 hours ago, I thought we had a great relationship. We've talked about moving in together, we've taken trips together, I've met his family multiple times. I genuinely thought he was it for me. Adrian has a weird hobby of leaving really detailed Yelp reviews for basically everywhere he goes. Like, obsessively detailed. He reviews restaurants, coffee shops, bookstores, parks, everything. It started as a joke between us. I tease him about being a Yelp elite wannabe, but he genuinely enjoys it. He has hundreds of reviews on his profile. This morning, I was bored at work during a slow period and decided to read through some of Adrian's recent Yelp reviews because they're usually entertaining. He has a dramatic writing style, and sometimes he's genuinely funny. I pulled up his profile and started scrolling through his recent activity. That's when I saw it. A review posted 7 days ago for a restaurant called Marcello's. 5 stars. The review was long and detailed, talking about the ambience, the wine selection, the pasta dishes, the attentive service. And then, at the end, he wrote, "Perfect place for a first date with someone special. Intimate without being stuffy, romantic without being over the top. Highly recommend for anyone looking to make a good impression." I stared at that line for probably a full minute. Adrian and I have never been to Marcello's. I've never even heard of it. And we've been together for 2 years. We're way past first dates. My immediate thought was that maybe he was just speaking hypothetically. Like, this would be a good first date spot in a general sense. But that didn't make sense either, because Adrian doesn't usually write reviews about hypothetical scenarios. He writes about his actual experiences. I checked the date again. 7 days ago. Last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, Adrian told me he had to work late because they were on a deadline for a client project. He texted me around 7 p.m. saying he was ordering food to the office and would probably be there until 10 or 11. I'd gone to bed by the time he texted me goodnight around 11:30. I felt sick. I clicked through to see if there were any photos attached to the review. There was one, a photo of a pasta dish that looked professionally plated, sitting on a white tablecloth with candlelight visible in the background. It was clearly taken at the restaurant. I sat at my desk trying to rationalize this. Maybe he'd gone there for a work lunch, and the first date comment was just a weird choice of words. Maybe he'd gone there with a friend and was being hyperbolic. Maybe there was some perfectly reasonable explanation. But the more I thought about it, the more wrong it felt. I looked up Marcello's online. It's a small Italian place in a neighborhood about 30 minutes from where Adrian lives. It has exactly the kind of romantic, dim lighting and intimate atmosphere that Adrian described in his review. The prices are high. The menu is fancy. This is not a place you go for a casual work lunch or a hangout with friends. I spent the rest of my workday feeling paranoid and anxious. I kept rereading the review. Perfect place for a first date with someone special. What the hell did that mean? Who is this someone special? When I got home from work, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through Adrian's credit card statements online. We don't have joint accounts or anything, but he'd given me his login info months ago when he needed me to check something while he was traveling for work, and I never logged out. Sure enough, there was a charge for Marcello's on his card from last Wednesday. $187.43. That's expensive for one person. That's dinner for 2. I felt like I was going to throw up. I called Adrian. I tried to keep my voice normal. I asked him what he'd done last Wednesday night. He said exactly what I already knew he'd said, that he'd worked late and ordered food to the office. I asked him what he'd ordered. He said pizza from the place downstairs from his office. He was lying to me, directly lying to my face. I hung up after a few more minutes of small talk and just sat on my couch staring at the wall. Then I had an idea. A crazy, probably stupid idea. I looked up Marcello's phone number and called them. I told them I wanted to make a reservation for tonight at 7:30. They said they could fit me in. I made the reservation under a fake name, Emma Peterson, and asked for a table for 1. Then I texted Adrian and told him I was going out with some work friends for dinner tonight and would probably be out late. He texted back saying no problem, that he had some errands to run anyway and would probably just stay in tonight. And now I'm here. I got to Marcelo's at 7:15 and asked to be seated at a table toward the back. The hostess brought me to a corner table that has a decent view of most of the restaurant. I ordered a glass of wine and sat down to wait. Adrian walked in at 7:35. He was wearing the navy button-down shirt I'd bought him for his birthday last year. His hair was styled the way he usually styles it when we go somewhere nice. He looked good. A woman walked in about 2 minutes after him. She's blonde, probably late 20s, wearing a red dress that looks expensive. She's objectively beautiful. The hostess seated them at a table 3 tables away from me, diagonally across. Adrian's back is partially toward me, so he hasn't noticed me yet. The woman is facing more in my direction, but she's not paying attention to anyone except Adrian. I watched them sit down. I watched the server bring them menus. I watched Adrian laugh at something the woman said. I watched them both look at the wine list together. And now I'm sitting here, typing this on my phone, trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do. Part of me wants to just get up and walk over there and confront them. But another part of me is terrified of what that would mean. If I confront them, it becomes real. Right now, there's still a tiny chance that this is all some bizarre misunderstanding. But I know it's not. The server just brought them a bottle of wine. They're toasting. They're smiling at each other. I feel completely numb. Update 1. 2 hours later, I'm back at my apartment. I've been crying for about 45 minutes straight, and I don't even know where to start with what just happened. I sat at that table for about an hour watching them. I watched them drink wine. I watched them laugh. I watched Adrian lean in close to talk to her in that intimate way he does with me. I watched him touch her hand across the table. I watched her smile at him like he was the most interesting person in the world. At one point, Adrian got up to go to the bathroom. He walked right past my table. I held my menu up to cover my face, but he was so focused on wherever he was going that he didn't even glance my way. While he was gone, the woman pulled out her phone and started looking at something. She was smiling at the screen. I wondered if she was looking at texts from him. I wondered how long this had been going on. When Adrian came back from the bathroom, the server brought out their entrees. They'd both ordered pasta. Adrian got the lobster ravioli. She got something that looked like a carbonara. They started eating and kept talking, kept laughing. I couldn't take it anymore. I flagged down my server, paid my bill. I'd only had 1 glass of wine and hadn't ordered food, and started to leave. But as I was walking toward the door, something in me snapped. I couldn't just leave. I couldn't just let this happen without saying something. I walked over to their table. Adrian saw me before I even got there. I watched his face go through about 5 different emotions in the span of 2 seconds: confusion, recognition, shock, fear, and then something like resignation. The woman looked up at me, confused. I said, and I'm proud of how calm my voice was, "Hi, Adrian. Funny seeing you here. I thought you said you were running errands tonight." Adrian's mouth opened, but no sound came out. The woman looked between us and said, "I'm sorry, who are you?" I kept my eyes on Adrian. "I'm Olivia, Adrian's girlfriend of 2 years. Who are you?" The woman's face went completely white. She looked at Adrian and said, "What is she talking about?" Adrian finally found his voice. "Olivia, I can explain." I cut him off. "You can explain how you're on a date with another woman while you're supposed to be running errands? You can explain the Yelp review you wrote about this being the perfect first date spot? You can explain the $187 charge on your credit card from last week when you told me you were working late." The woman stood up from the table. She looked at Adrian with this expression of complete betrayal and said, "You told me you were single. You said you'd gotten out of a relationship 6 months ago." Adrian started to say something, but she held up her hand. "Don't," she said. "Don't say anything." She looked at me. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. He told me he was single." Then she grabbed her purse and walked out of the restaurant. I stood there staring at Adrian. He was staring down at his plate. "How long?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, he said, "About 3 months." 3 months. A quarter of a year. All those nights, he said, he was working late or meeting up with friends or running errands. "Do you love her?" I don't know why I asked that. I don't know why it mattered. Adrian shook his head. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" He finally looked up at me. "I don't know. Things with us have felt so serious lately. All the talk about moving in together, about the future. I just wanted something that felt lighter. Something that felt new." I actually laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because the absurdity of that explanation was too much. So, instead of talking to me about feeling pressured, you decided to start dating someone else behind my back? Adrian didn't say anything. I realized we were causing a scene. Other diners were staring at us. The server who'd been taking care of Adrian's table was standing awkwardly near the kitchen, clearly unsure if they should intervene. I said, very quietly, "We're done. Don't contact me. Don't come by my apartment. Don't text me. We're done." Then I walked out. I got in my car and just sat there for a while. I didn't know where to go or what to do. Eventually, I just drove home. Now I'm sitting on my couch with a pint of ice cream I'm not eating, and I keep replaying the whole thing in my head. The woman, whose name I never learned, clearly had no idea about me. She was a victim in this too. Adrian had lied to both of us. I keep thinking about all the times over the past 3 months when Adrian was probably with her. All the times he came over to my place after being with her. All the times he kissed me and told me he loved me while he was actively cheating on me. I feel so stupid. Update 2. Next morning, I barely slept. I kept waking up every hour or so and reaching for my phone to see if Adrian had texted me. He hadn't. Around 3 a.m., I finally turned my phone completely off because I couldn't handle looking at it anymore. When I turned it back on this morning, I had 17 missed calls from Adrian and about 30 text messages. I'm not going to read all of them, but I skimmed through enough to get the gist. He's sorry. He made a terrible mistake. He doesn't know what he was thinking. He wants to talk to me in person. He loves me. He never meant to hurt me. He's ending things with her. Please give him a chance to explain. The usual. I blocked his number. Then I texted my best friend Becca and told her everything. She called me immediately, and we talked for over an hour. She was appropriately horrified and angry on my behalf. She asked if I wanted her to come over, but I told her I just needed some time alone. The weird thing is that I don't feel as devastated as I thought I would. Don't get me wrong. I'm hurt and angry and feel betrayed. But I also feel this strange sense of relief. Like some part of me already knew something was wrong, and now I have confirmation. Looking back, there were signs. Small things I'd brushed off at the time. Adrian had been more distant over the past few months. He'd been less enthusiastic about making plans with me. He'd been on his phone more. He'd been busy more often. I'd noticed all of that, but I'd rationalized it. Work stress. Normal relationship ebb and flow. Nothing to worry about. I should have trusted my gut. Around noon, I got a DM on Instagram from an account I didn't recognize. When I opened it, it was from the woman from last night. Her name is Sophie. She sent me a long message apologizing again for being involved in the situation. She explained that she'd met Adrian on a dating app about 3 months ago. He told her he was single, that he worked as a graphic designer, that he was looking for something serious. They'd been on about 8 or 9 dates total, always at places outside of the neighborhood where Adrian and I usually hang out. She'd had no idea about me. She said she'd confronted Adrian via text after leaving the restaurant last night and told him to never contact her again. She blocked him on everything. She said she felt terrible and wanted me to know that if she'd had any idea about me, she never would have gone out with him. I wrote back and told her I believed her and that I was sorry she'd gotten dragged into this too. We ended up messaging back and forth for a while. It was almost weirdly therapeutic to talk to someone who'd also been lied to by the same person. Sophie told me some things about Adrian that made my skin crawl. Apparently, he told her a completely different story about his life. He told her he lived alone, he does, but he'd left out the part about having a girlfriend. He told her he didn't use social media much, a lie. His Instagram is pretty active, but I realized now he'd probably been careful not to post anything that would give away that he was in a relationship. He told her he was really focused on his career and wasn't sure about wanting kids someday. Meanwhile, he told me he definitely wanted kids in the next few years. He'd created an entirely different version of himself for her. I asked Sophie if she'd noticed anything that should have been a red flag. She admitted that there were a few things, like how he was always weirdly evasive about certain days of the week, or how he'd sometimes take hours to respond to texts. But she'd rationalized those things too, just like I'd rationalized the signs I'd seen. We both got played. Update 3. 4 days later. Adrian showed up at my apartment last night. I'd gone to the grocery store after work, and when I got back to my building, he was sitting on the steps outside. When he saw me, he stood up and started walking toward me. I immediately turned around and started walking back to my car, but he followed me and said, "Olivia, please, just give me 5 minutes." I stopped and turned around. "No. I told you not to contact me. I blocked your number. What part of that was unclear? He looked awful. Like he hadn't slept in days. Part of me felt bad for him, which made me angry at myself. I just need to explain, he said. I need you to understand. Understand what? That you cheated on me for 3 months? That you lied to me constantly? That you created a fake single life so you could date someone else while keeping me around as your actual girlfriend? Adrian flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Adrian? Explain it to me. He ran his hands through his hair, clearly frustrated. I got scared, okay? Things with us were getting so serious, and I panicked. I wanted to feel like I had options still. I wanted to feel like I wasn't locked into one path. So you started dating someone else. I didn't plan for it to happen. I just downloaded the app one night when I was feeling weird about everything, and then I matched with Sophie and we started talking, and then we met up, and I didn't know how to stop it. I stared at him. You didn't know how to stop going on dates with another woman? You didn't know how to delete a dating app? You didn't know how to, talk to me about your feelings instead of cheating on me? Adrian looked down. I know I should have. I'm so sorry, Olivia. I'll do anything to fix this. There's nothing to fix. We're done. Don't say that. We can go to therapy. We can work through this. I'll do whatever it takes. I felt so tired all of a sudden. Adrian, you cheated on me for 3 months. 3 months. That's not a mistake or a moment of weakness. That was a choice you made over and over again. You lied to me over and over again. You looked me in the eye and told me you loved me while you were actively dating someone else. How am I supposed to trust you again? He didn't have an answer for that. I picked up my groceries and walked toward my apartment building. Adrian didn't follow me this time. Update 4. 1 week later. I'm doing okay, all things considered. I've been keeping myself busy with work and spending time with friends. Becca has been amazing. She's come over almost every night this week with food and wine and bad reality TV. I haven't heard from Adrian since he showed up at my apartment. I'm assuming he finally got the message. The weird thing is how many mutual friends have reached out to me asking what happened. Adrian apparently didn't tell anyone we broke up, so when I posted a vague Instagram story about new chapters and moving forward, people started asking questions. I haven't told anyone the full story except Becca. I've just been saying we decided to go our separate ways. Part of me wants everyone to know what he did, but another part of me just wants to move on without drama. Sophie and I have stayed in touch. We've actually become kind of friends, which is bizarre, but also nice. She gets what I'm going through in a way that other people don't. We went for coffee yesterday and talked about red flags in relationships and how to trust people again after something like this. She told me something interesting. Apparently, after everything went down, Sophie did some digging on Adrian. She found his Facebook, which I told her about, and went through his friends list. She found at least 3 women who'd liked or commented on his posts in ways that seemed flirty. Sophie messaged one of them just a casual, "Hey, how do you know Adrian?" kind of thing. The woman wrote back saying she'd gone on a few dates with Adrian about 6 months ago, but he'd ghosted her out of nowhere. 6 months ago. Right around the time Adrian and I had gotten back from a vacation where we'd talked seriously about our future together. I wonder how many other women there were. I wonder if Sophie and I were the only ones, or if this was a pattern for him. I'm not going to investigate further. I don't want to know. It doesn't matter now. What matters is that I got out. I found out the truth before I moved in with him or got engaged to him or wasted any more years of my life. Update 5. Final update. 3 weeks later, I'm writing this final update because a few people have messaged me asking how I'm doing, and I wanted to close the loop on this whole thing. I'm good. Actually, genuinely good. I've started seeing a therapist to work through some of the trust issues this brought up. She's been helpful in getting me to understand that Adrian's cheating wasn't about me or anything I did wrong. It was about his own issues with commitment and honesty. I've also been going on dates. Nothing serious, just casual coffee meetings or drinks with people I've matched with on apps. It's been nice to feel like I'm moving forward. Sophie and I have stayed friends. We actually hung out last weekend and went to a museum together. It's funny how this terrible situation brought a genuine friendship into my life. As for Adrian, I haven't heard from him in about 2 weeks. A mutual friend told me he's been telling people that we grew apart and that the breakup was mutual. I don't really care what story he's telling. The people who matter know the truth. The thing that keeps sticking with me is how close I came to not finding out. If I hadn't been bored at work that day and decided to read Adrian's Yelp reviews, I might never have known. He could have kept this going for months or even years. I could have moved in with him thinking we had this great, solid relationship while he was living a double life. I'm grateful to my past self for trusting her gut and doing something crazy like making a reservation at that restaurant. I'm grateful I had the courage to confront him instead of just leaving. I'm grateful I found out when I did. Someone asked me in a message if I regret the 2 years I spent with Adrian. Honestly, I don't. For most of those 2 years, I was happy. I thought I was in a good relationship with someone who loved me. The fact that it ended badly doesn't erase the good parts. But I'm also glad it's over. I'm glad I'm not with someone who could lie to me so easily. I'm glad I'm not building a future with someone who sees relationships as optional or disposable. I'm 31 years old and single and starting over. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Better than okay. I read somewhere that sometimes the trash takes itself out. In my case, the trash revealed itself through a Yelp review, and I'm grateful for that. If you're reading this because you're in a similar situation, if you've found something that doesn't quite add up in your relationship, trust your gut. Don't rationalize red flags. Don't make excuses for behavior that makes you uncomfortable. You deserve someone who's honest with you, even when the truth is hard. That's it. That's the whole story. I'm closing this chapter and moving on to whatever comes next. Thanks to everyone who sent supportive messages. It helped more than you know.